Hello, this is post-work hungover Chris today. So a friend of mine, he asked a question about drugs and whether they're useful for enlightenment or waking up. In particular, psychedelics, I think he was getting at. There are some people who will claim that you don't get it if you haven't taken drugs and stuff like that, and I think that's just wrong. I think the way a lot of these psychedelics in particular work, in fact all drugs and all kinds of foods and that, and even exercise, is what it does is it kind of changes the neurochemistry of the brain. And in a sense what that's like is changing the tuner on a radio, and so you'll pick up different frequencies and different bandwidths. This brain thing, I think, is essentially interpretive. It takes in electronic information through light and stuff like that, through the eyes and through the senses, and it constructs out of that the world that we live in. And so if you tinker with the brain, you tinker with that process of interpretation. And when we're talking about truth with the big T, a big T truth kind of thing, well, it's everything that is. And it's similar to another kind of argument I've heard some people talk about, where they're like, oh, we don't experience reality truly, or we don't get to perceive the absolute because we only see with the five senses and we see a very narrow range of light bandwidth. And there's like an infinite amount outside of that. But what we do see, we see it truly. It is what it is. And really, this kind of urge that we have to call what's outside of our realm of normal experience the absolute or the true, and what's in the normal everyday experience the untrue, is familiarity. Familiarity breeds contempt. We don't like the ordinary. I mean, like, all these psychic powers like telepathy and stuff like that. You could imagine a culture or a species of people that were physically made just like us, except they couldn't. They only communicated telepathically, and everybody had access to everybody else's thoughts. And from our perspective on this side, in our reality, we'd be like, "Oh, well, that's amazing! Having no superpowers." But if you had them all the time, well, they'd just be ordinary. And you could imagine those people looking at our kind of way of existence and be, oh wow, imagine if I could speak using this mouth hole and choose what I'm going to say. That would be amazing. And so what happens when you take these psychedelics is you get an amazing experience. You get a kind of religious, spiritual experience. That's what Timothy Leary was pointing at. But that experience is one experience amongst many, and you don't want to get hung up on it because it will stop your flow. I've had a lot of insights through them. I've taken LSD quite a few times in the past. I remember one of the key insights I had was on LSD. I was listening to Alan Watts, and he was going through the Zen stories, and it occurred to me that they're all just playing games. It's just any excuse to get any game that gets you out of bed in the morning. And but that's when the idea came to me. Look, I'm here. I obviously want to be here because I don't kill myself. It's easy to kill myself. Just buses going across the road all the time. So I want to be here and I want to do stuff, but that's pretty much it. And one of the excuses to play the game that people use is looking out for truth with the big T, which is a good excuse. That's the excuse I use mainly to play the game. So yeah, drugs can be useful. They can be good. They can also be bad as well. And you can get these insights just through walking around. You can get these insights through, as I've done in the past as well, through crisis. It's seeing what is and suddenly just jiving with what is, and just suddenly, or just sort of thinking, actually, no, life's pretty good. It's actually pretty decent. It is what it is, kind of thing. And you can see that in any state. You don't need to be in a special state to see that. No state. There isn't a hierarchy of states, It isn't as if, like, happiness is better than sadness. Of course, from my perspective, happiness is better than sadness. I'd rather be happy than I would be sad. I'd rather be in a kind of enlightened, euphoric state than in the normal mundane state. But in reality, all states are equal. They're just stuff happening, It comes and it goes. So yeah, I plan on going to Peru and doing this ayahuasca thing next year. Just for the sake of it, just because it'll be a good little roller coaster ride. But I'm not so facetious as to think that oh, it's important and special and you're not going to get it if you don't take psychedelics or whatever. No, it's just, it's life, it's accessible to all. The truth is readily available to all, and it's all things equally. I mean, I'd love to be able to perceive more than what I normally perceive, but then I bet if I could perceive more than what I normally could perceive, I mean, after that, being able to do that, I've become a bit bored of that. I think, what more is there? What more? And really, enlightenment is just sort of getting the joke, as Benjamin Smith says, that you're never going to be satisfied. That there's always going to be what more, and then you realise the stupidity of that. Anyway, yeah, and you can get that with or without drugs, with or without anything. It can happen despite the causes. Anyway, goodbye.